Like, Drake's the type of guy to jump in a pool and yell Geronimo. That's the first one. And the second one is Drake's the kind of guy to float through the air when he smells cookies.
I think he retweeted that, or he like reposted the image, the AI image.
Oh my god. I love those. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hand Me Down Podcast. We're your hosts. My name's Natalia.
And I'm Alan.
And as always, getting into a good fun episode today. A little bit more of a studious episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think in our first episode, Alan said that, you know, one of the things that the podcast is going to have is studious conversation.
And we never had, not never, but like.
What episode is it?
Not as studious. This is episode 10, so.
10 in.
It took us 10 episodes
to have a studious conversation. So thank you for bearing with us through the giggles. But this one's going to be super fun today. And I guess let's go ahead and break down the episode.
Yeah, so again, as always, we're going to go ahead and catch up how we doing and all that stuff. And right after that, we're going to go ahead and move into Internet Corner, which I feel like we have a pretty good amount of stuff for Internet Corner. So that's exciting. And then finally, like the big chunk or the good chunk of the episode is going to be talking about how media, whether it be films and TV, affect the way that we see ourselves as Latinos and how other people see Latinos. So a lot of scholarly articles that we have here and like actual research. So we're not talking out of our asses time.
Yeah, we're going to do this episode Jane Schaefer style. If you know who Jane Schaefer is, do you know?
I don't.
How did they teach you to write, I guess, like argumentative essays in high school? Like, was it like a claim or like a piece of evidence and then two sentences to like back it up?
Yes.
That's called Jane Schaefer.
I see.
So shout out to my girl, Jane, Lil J.
Yeah.
Jana.
Well, in high school, I think I only used one piece of evidence per paragraph and then
in
like
high school,
two sentences to back it up.
I only took regular English. I don't know if they taught like different strategies.
I
and
see.
Like
I took AP.
English. You took AP English?
Yeah, junior and senior year. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they taught us. No sub.
Still, okay, anyways. Enough about English.
Sorry guys.
But how are you, Natalia?
I am pretty good. I got good news from my family that I'm like, I think I could share it. But if not, then
we'll bleep it out.
Yeah, we'll bleep it out.
It's just you talking. Mouthing the words.
But I mean, I told you guys, but my sister has gotten into a master's program.
Woo!
So shout out to her. She'll be going out of state. I think I'm just not allowed to say what school yet because she said for us to not say anything until she posts. She hasn't yet. So in case
she has a week.
I don't know. I'm gonna text her and be like, girl, you have a week. But in case she hasn't posted by the time this episode comes out, then I'll just say my sister had a advancement in her education that we got to celebrate this weekend.
Well, I guess I can bleep this out too if she doesn't post yet. But Utah,
yeah.
But like a school in Utah, or is it the school's called Utah?
I think it's a University of Utah.
Well, anyways, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to hear what that experience is like going to like a Utah school or just living in Utah, right? Because it's like a lot of Mormons, right?
Yeah, no, because she went to go interview there. I feel like I've been
shit.
Yeah, I feel like I've been part of her process. Every time I go home,
you helped her get there.
She was
all
like,
you.
We got into Utah together. Oh my god, that's so offensive. I'm sorry. But
she worked hard. She deserved it.
No, yeah, she worked her ass off, and I'm so proud of her. But I feel like every time I went home for the past year, which was like not often, maybe every few months, she was always working on something to help the application process.
Wow.
Like always for like the past year. And so last I had heard was she and my sister went to Utah. Like they flew out to Utah for an interview. And then, and then like about 2 weeks later, I get a text from her and she like just sends me the admission letter. I was like, oh, you're in, girl. I was like,
how
shit.
exciting.
And then so she wanted to surprise my parents and like let them know. And so she gave them like a letter, but like the letter of acceptance. And like my other sister was filming it. And like she sent that video and I watched it and I cried. And I took pictures of myself crying so I could send to the family group chat. I was like, dude, me after that video. And I was just like crying. And it's just so funny because it's like, like siblings, or I mean, specifically like me and my sisters, like we weren't very tender with each other growing up. So it's like when things like this happen, like I don't know how to react. Like I'm just like, yeah, buddy. Or like I don't know.
Way to go, champ. Way to go, sport.
Just give her a noogie. Just like put her in a headlock and just oh my god, that would be so funny if I was because
do that when you go back home.
When I go back home, hey champ, just like mess up her hair. But it's like, yeah, because I'm just like, oh my god, like that's literally just how the reaction is. But no, like I'm very proud of her. She's a super hard worker and I'm super excited to see what she does in the medical field.
That's so exciting. If you ever go visit her, I want to go to Utah. I want to I don't know. I feel like people are so different there.
Alan wants to see a Mormon.
I do in person.
He's gonna be like,
because they have like all what I know about Utah and Mormons is through TikTok. I also know that they have like a whole bunch of like weird loopholes for having sex or just like, And
I only know that because that's information you told.
I was watching this other podcast and this girl she was a Mormon or she grew up Mormon, and she said that she used to give hand jobs with a condom on because it wouldn't count if she wasn't touching the thing.
She's crazy.
And no one forced her to say that. And she just said it.
She was trying to let all the other girls know.
I saw all the people in the comments were like, girl, I would have taken that to the grave. I would have not told anyone.
Feel those tweets that are like, that should have stayed in the draft. Shit. Oh my god.
But like another thing is like their fascination with like soda pop.
Mormons?
Yeah. Oh. Or just like, yeah, because like they don't really drink, right? So like they go like to soda. There's like stores that have like soda pop shops and they put like coffee creamer in it.
Oh.
And they like mix it. It's weird.
Dang. Well.
That kind of like is bleeding us into Internet Corner because. But anyways.
But you didn't check in. How are you?
You're right. I'm good. You were very heartfelt with your thing. Mine was very stupid. I found out Peso Pulma's real name today. His real name is Hassan.
Hassan?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, what? Because I was watching on TikTok, I think he has a girlfriend and they went to the Latin Grammys together. And she was just like, they were like, is it official? And she's like, well, I think it is, blah, blah. And then she's like, Hassan. And I'm like, why'd you say Hassan? And then I looked at the comments and I was like, that's this fool's name.
She name dropped.
If all the tios who like Peso Pluma knew that, I don't think we'd be fans.
Really? Oh my god.
Mexicans are very Islamophobic.
Jesus
and homophobic and every other phobic.
Yeah.
Xenophobic. Everything else. Everything under the sun.
I'm just sitting here like
listing them. That's the whole episode.
Fuck, dude.
But anyways, that's what I found out today. And I was like, oh, that's lit.
I love finding out celebrities who, Peso Pluma is not a good example, but like celebrities that have stage names that sound like they could be names, like Drake, and then like figuring out
Aubrey.
That's not their name, or like Bruno Mars is Peter Hernandez. Yeah. I was like, damn.
Did you think Bruno was his actual name? Well, actually, that's not the weird part. Mars.
You know what? I think you're right.
Yeah, well, like not to make you feel dumb. I thought it. I thought that Mars was an actual
Bruno
last name.
Mars. Oh, I don't think I understood the concept of stage names when I was younger.
Me neither.
So I was just like, his name is Bruno, like his government name. Bruno
Zendaya's name is actually Zendaya, right?
Yeah, okay. No, she made that up. It's Diazen. It's like the opposite. But I'm gonna. Sorry. I started thinking of Aubrey Drake Graham. Right? That's his name?
I think so.
His name is
You
Aubrey.
didn't know his name was Aubrey? Mm-hmm.
His name is Aubrey. That's a girl's name.
Yeah, I don't think Drake would have blown up as much if he went under Aubrey.
I agree.
Especially in a genre like rap where you have to be like tough guy.
Drake
persona.
is a tough guy.
Well, I think he plays up that character in a lot of his songs. Like if you hear a Drake song, sometimes you're like,
tough guy
damn.
character?
Yeah, like he raps like a tough guy or he talks about stuff that like a tough guy. But then you fucking see him in the real world.
He like has the Ariana Grande sleeves and he's like,
the horror and okay, well I guess this will bleed us into Internet Corner, which is something that I didn't have planned. But I saw a TikTok and he was playing basketball, I guess, like in his own house because he's a star and he has like
Drake?
Drake. And he was like yowza or whatever, and then he was like, Drake's the type of guy to say yowza, so he's aware of the memes.
Oh my god!
And I think it's the funniest thing ever that he just like loves it and like he's like
where he feeds into it. Oh my god! He said yowza.
I don't know if it was yowza. I don't remember
Okay,
what it was, but it was like one of those like phrases, like cartoon.
Do you have a favorite one of those like memes?
It's the running. It's a I'll try to put the sound effect.
Scooby-Doo knows you're running. My favorite is, I have two favorites and they like live in my mind rent free. It's the one where they're like, Drake's the type of guy to jump in a pool and yell Geronimo. That's the first one. And the second one is Drake's the kind of guy to float through the air when he smells cookies.
I think he retweeted that or he like reposted the image, the AI image.
Oh my god. I love those. Those two are my top two.
I don't think I would be offended. I think I would be like him and lean into it.
I like that he's leaning into it because me have a great time looking at that.
Like I know I do like some of Drake's songs, but I think it's just like nostalgia that I do like some of his songs. But and people say that like, no, you just like, you're trying to find an excuse to like Drake. But like, I like the way he leans into stuff. Like he doesn't care. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do me, Aubrey Drake. But anyways, I guess moving on to actual Internet Corner, what I actually had planned. I'm on the side of TikTok, or sometimes I just get like random TikToks, and it's kind of like the behind the scenes of a movie. Mm-hmm. And it's like I know it's those like DVD extra bonus features or whatever. Mm-hmm. Just like the way that it's edited or kind of the style is a very distinct style. Mm-hmm. And I was watching one about The Grinch or about The Cat in the Hat too. The Grinch. And talking about it, and I was like, streaming services have to like also buy that when they buy a movie to show.
Buy the bonus content? Oh, you're right.
Like, wouldn't that be so cool? Like if we watch The Cat in the Hat. I mean, especially for us, because we're like into how they make stuff. But like, wouldn't it be cool if like, okay, we put in The Cat in the Hat and then like we finish watching it or whatever, and then we could like to watch the bonus features. Yeah. Like people worked hard on that too. Like it wasn't just like stuff to like fill in the DVD. Like I think they should. I think they have the space to do it, and they're charging these prices, not allowing password sharing. Give us that bonus content too if you're gonna do that. Shit. So
I love the bonus content. I used to like when like DVDs were bigger. Would pay extra for the bonus content of like movies because I was just like, I want to see how it's made. But you know what I would never watch? The like deleted scenes. I'm sorry. I'm like, it got cut for a reason.
I don't think I would watch the deleted scenes either, but I was a fan of how they made it and just like people talking about their creations.
Yeah.
Like, or like commentary. I don't think I've ever seen a commentary, but I've seen bits and pieces of commentary. I think that's also valuable as like filmmakers. Yeah, I just love hearing stories about the way art's made. So yeah, that's my first Internet Corner thing.
I love bonus features. They should. I know some streaming services do have them, but they should do it for all of them. I actually have something for Internet Corner today.
You don't?
I said I actually do.
Oh, okay. I was like, girl, you were like, there's links here.
Who wrote that? Have you heard of Uncanny Valley?
I know about the concept. I don't know if it's the same thing. Just like where something kind of looks human, but
it's not.
There's something off that makes it feel very creepy. Yeah.
It makes it unsettling.
Yeah.
So I honestly didn't know what that was before last week. And because I was on the set last week and they were talking about it and I was like, what is that, guys? And so they showed it to me. It was kind of giving like, you know, like in elementary school where like people are talking about what was like a popular video, like Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. And they're just like, oh, what is that? They're like, let me show you. Like, so they showed me and I was just like, it was so unsettling. And I weirdly just like couldn't look away. Like,
you liked it?
It wasn't that I was just like,
Natalia likes Uncanny Valleys.
Stop. I thought it was a little fucking weird.
Natalia in Uncanny Valley sitting in a tree.
Guys, stop it. I don't even like them like that.
If you like it so much, why don't you marry it? Just bullying.
You know what? I will marry Uncanny Valley demons.
But go on, I'm actually kind of excited to watch this.
Okay, so it was just, there's a trend right now going on TikTok, so that's why they like brought it up. And it's like specifically, it's not like Uncanny Valley like stuff, like people bringing in things that are creepy, but it's a makeup trend. So it's like people are doing their makeup to make themselves look less human, and they're like put like a filter on the camera and do a specific lighting where they just look really creepy. And I love it. First of all, because the song that they use for the trend is a banger, so I'm always just like every time it comes up. And then it's just like I love watching people do their makeup to like transform their face. So it's just been like so entertaining watching people do that. And it's just like the ones that I'm gonna show you aren't the makeup trends, but they're just like Uncanny Valley 2 that I found, because there's like I feel like there's like this, what's that called, like a spectrum of how creepy it is. And it's like some of them are like creepy and unsettling, some of them are creepy to the point where you laugh. So I think like the first one, both
of these links go together.
This one is one video and this one's another video.
But like they're the same topic?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So
does it have copyright music?
It's from TikTok. I know, I should have given you a warning. He said, he's scared, guys.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay. Should I listen to this?
I mean, you can, just so you can hear the music, because I think it's a banger.
Okay. I've heard this song.
I like this one. It's so cool. The plane.
That is scary.
It's like unsettling.
Is that the unsettling one?
That was the unsettling one. And then the one under it's like the same type of unsettling, but I think the movements are a lot more comedic. So I was just hella laughing when I was watching it. Like, that's so funny, bro. That's like Chad and Pat right there.
It's a running.
It's a running.
That's makeup?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, people do their makeup and it's like they accentuate this part of their face under their eyes. They put like they make just the center of their waterline dark and like on the top lid and on the bottom lid. They color in their nostrils so that it looks like like kind of just like holes instead of a nose.
I see.
And they make themselves really pale.
I don't want to be fucked up. Should I say this? Should we flip a coin?
I think I know what you're gonna say.
That they look like Michael Jackson.
Because there's been they used the trends and they turned it to Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Easy, but. Yeah.
But that's literally like I went down a rabbit hole of like watching all these people do their makeup and like turn into like uncanny, creepy things. But I was just like, I would love to make a short film with like that kind of makeup because it's so simple. It's like, it's not really special effects makeup. It's just like makeup. Fuck it. It's just like makeup to change your appearance slightly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that would be like a very interesting like short film concept and very eerie and like.
I agree.
So
I thought you were gonna show me like a slideshow of like different ones.
Oh, I should have.
Or no, but like some that exist.
Yeah.
Like in nature, or like you get me like
some the
like dolls and stuff.
Like when you Google it, like that's what comes up.
But this was the second one was once they started running, it was over.
No, people are getting really creative with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some really creepy ones on TikTok. Like I like watching creepy things, but sometimes I can't look directly at it, so I'll like look at it through my peripheral vision. And I'm like, wow, double tap. Keep going. But that was my internet corner.
Wow. I've heard that song, but I haven't seen this trend, so thank you. I'm gonna be scrolling today at like 12 a.m. on TikTok, and it's gonna come up, and I'll be like, fuck.
Skip it. I feel like even I wouldn't watch it enough. I was watching it in the daylight.
Oh, okay. Another one of my like internet corner things is the AI Bad Bunny. And I always, guys, I'm sorry. I always bring up Bad Bunny, but okay. What do you know about this? Do you know anything about AI Bad Bunny?
Did you send me one?
Yes.
Which
Sepine.
Sepine. I was like, I kind of know about this, but like barely.
But it's a timeline.
Oh shit. Okay.
So
there's lore.
Maybe a week or two ago, and by the time this goes out, maybe like 3 weeks ago. There is an account, and I'm not 100% sure what the account is called, but like it makes AI songs of artists. And it made one of, I believe it was Bad Bunny, Justin Bieber, and someone else. But like just the Bad Bunny part was trending on TikTok because it sounded like a Bad Bunny song. Like his voice, like the lyrics are also AI generated.
It wasn't like a cover. It was just like a...
No, like the AI like... got all the songs that Bad Bunny has made and kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna make a song in the style of Bad Bunny, and have the AI voice sing it, and it was really good. I really like it. I do. But Bad Bunny obviously saw that it was trending, and he on his little WhatsApp group, he's like, fuck that song. If you guys like that song, you guys are not my real fans. Like blah 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 blah. Just like throwing a tantrum, throwing a tantrum. So then people saw that and they kind of just started like really clowning it. So they started making like stupid songs. Okay, I didn't have links, but I probably should because I didn't know you didn't know about it. This is the video. Top 4 canciones de Bad Bunny con AI. Me cago, me meo, me tiro un peo, me limpio el culo con los 5 dedos. Ay, mamá, qué felicidad que tengo la mano sucia y cagada en este mundo cago.
You know what? This is funny for people like you and I who tend to listen to music not for the lyrics but for the beat. And I feel like we would just like hear that and be like and then like not really pay attention.
But I feel like
lyrics.
When I first heard it, I was like, bro, he's talking about shitting and pissing and farting.
He's talking about pee pee caca.
But this is the other one.
So people are just clowning his tantrum, essentially.
This is my favorite one. Pero salchicha.
The beat does not go this far. Is that actual videos of him dancing?
Yeah, but like sped up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. I was just like, damn, all right, he's got the moves.
But yeah, just like that, like they were.
What's the context of this? Why is he dressed like a son?
That's for his music video, the Neverita one.
Oh,
but
I see.
they like speed it up, and if you speed it up,
He looks like the boobas. You know what the boobas are?
yes.
Booba.
But yeah, I was like losing my mind, and then of course there's the Sepine one.
That one was really good.
But I don't know. It's my favorite. My favorite one is the Perro Salchicha one.
That one was good.
But I think TikTok heard that, and literally every other video was that. So now I'm annoyed. That's just me.
It's like a trend.
Yeah.
I see.
But yeah, I think that's maybe all I have for Internet Corner.
We consume a lot of media.
Actually, I think another thing after these like joke ones came out, I think he like deleted a lot of his videos, or he even like kind of just like shut down on social media, like literally threw a tantrum.
We got him.
Which, like, I get the first one, like being mad that people are enjoying a song that an AI made.
Yeah.
I guess, like, to him, it reflects, like, my music is, like, generic, or, like, you get me?
Yeah.
That you guys like that compared to my stuff. I sort of get that. Still don't throw a tantrum, but I get that.
Yeah.
These joke ones, like, I would have been hella laughing. Like, I would have found it funny, but
I would have been
I
like,
don't know.
damn. That's so funny.
But anyways, I guess moving on to...
Oh shit, now we gotta get serious.
Yeah.
No, we gotta... Milena and I watched Madagascar the other day. We're gonna do the Alex the Lion.
After talking about what we talked about, Bad Bunny AI, Uncanny Valley, Michael Jackson.
Giving my sister a...
Noogie. Time to get serious. But, okay, for real. So...
He said, oh, you gotta get glasses so you look smart. Whoops. Already.
Do you want to tell that story?
When Alan and I were first like coming up with the podcast, like before we had even filmed anything or like named the podcast really.
Yeah, brainstorming
brainstorming ideas about the topics, and we were trying to come up with segments, and we knew that we wanted the podcast to go kind of like a studious route in a way. So he had suggested a segment. I forget what you
Studious as fools.
It was just like studious as fools. And then like, so we had like a Google Doc, and it was just like, oh, we had like this idea of studious as fools. And he was just like, and we can even wear like glasses to make us look smart. And I was dead ass like, I was like, well, okay.
It's kind of like that one thing where like you can't remember whether a certain person has this or that.
It's just part of my face, I think, at this point.
Like there's an episode of The Office or like a cold open in The Office where they're trying to decide whether or not one of the characters has a mustache or not. And like every time I watch it, I don't remember if they actually have a mustache or not.
Really?
And I'm just like, fuck, do they? And then they reveal it and I'm like, oh, okay. Okay.
Well, that's so funny because you were the reason why I went to go get my eyes checked to get glasses. Do you remember? Alan saved my vision.
Maybe that's why.
Oh, because you knew me before glasses?
Yeah, I knew her before. I guess you don't know Natalia like I do.
I knew her bare face before she became four eyes. But no, because... Well, should we go into that lore now?
Okay, yeah.
Really quick, guys. Really quick. In our junior year of college, Alan and I were living together, and I wasn't aware that I needed glasses. I think the pandemic, like all the screen time, really screwed up my eyes. And so I was just like, oh, this is just how I see things, la-di-da-di-da. And I didn't know that wasn't normal. I didn't know, because I was sitting in the front of all of my classes. I was like, I'm just a good student. I just couldn't fucking see. And like Alan we'd be having dinner like across the table, and he'd like laugh at something. He'd show me a meme, and I'd be like, wait, like, let me see your phone. Pass me your phone. Like, I can't see it. And he'd be like, you can't see that? I'd be like, no, but like if you pass me your phone, I could see it. He was like, that's not normal, dude. I was
just like small things. It'd be like,
you'd be like, you can't see that? And I was like, you can? I was like, what the hell?
And it wasn't like tiny things that were like, obviously, like some people can and can't. I was like, no, you probably should be able to see
you
this.
probably should be. And the size of this font, you probably should be able to see that. And so I went to the doctor's like for over winter break, and the optometrist, and we were doing the little wall reading test, and he's like, okay, read that first line. It was like the second line that was biggest, and I was like, Z, and he was like, okay, we're done. I was like, fuck, dude. And then I got my glasses.
Glassy girl now.
Glasses girl. What can I say?
Well, we're going to have to put on these glasses because we have a very studious part of the episode, which I find fascinating. So it's just how the media, whether it be film and TV, affects the way that we see ourselves as Latinos, or the way that other people perceive Latinos. I took a class on entertainment and politics my last quarter at UCLA, so this past spring. And it was very interesting, just like everything that you kind of know but to be able to have terms and names to like put this stuff into and like actually know that it's studied and that it actually does have an effect on our perception of ourselves is really interesting.
Yeah.
And just like we talk about representation all the time and why it's important and the way that it affects us. But again, to be able to have like actual studies behind it, I think makes it a lot more relevant. And like, we're not just really talking about our experiences or anything. It's like an actual issue.
Yeah. I think there was a lot more studies than I had thought, or not a lot more studies, but the study started a lot earlier than I would have thought. Like a lot of research that you find is like, some of them are from like as early as like the 80s or like 90s and a lot during the early 2000s. And also, I mean, like we talk about this a little bit, but it's just like accessibility to scholarly articles like this. Like, you know, I was like, when I was trying to come up with research with this, like I didn't have access to JSTOR, like I didn't have access to Google Scholars, and it's like
not even accessibility in terms of like actually getting the articles, but being able to read them. Yeah. Like the words that they use and the jargon that they use. And like, I spent a lot of time I spent a lot of time in college. A lot of the professors spent time like teaching us how to read an article. Yeah. And like what to look for and how it's organized. And it just makes everything easier to read and less daunting. Yeah. Compared to like if you're just fresh and you're like looking at this stuff. Curious. So. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my spiel on research.
Yeah, we can go ahead and start. Yeah. Let me see. So,
I thought this was the agenda. I was like,
these are my notes. So I guess one of the first things that I kind of want to talk about is a topic or a term called agenda setting, which is very popular in political science and in journalism. So agenda setting is we can't tell people what to think about things, but we can tell them what to think about, if that makes sense. Like I can't make you think that drinking this glass of water is good for you, but I can make you think about water a lot.
I see.
Like it's a lot in journalism. So like the editors of that paper, there's only so much space on that paper. So they get to put what you see on that paper. And that's also very relevant in Hollywood and in entertainment. Like these gatekeepers have a very strong power of being able to decide what you get to see in the media. So I think that's a very strong foundational thing of like agenda setting is like, okay. And you know, the way that the agenda is set for people of color. There's been a lot of strides recently, but before then, like it wasn't really considered, and we weren't thinking about it because we didn't see it.
Yeah. Do you know like when this term kind of like came to be, or like?
I know it's an old term.
Old term.
It's like it's like foundational to the study of political science and like kind of communication theories and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like one of the journalistic principles too. So it's very foundational.
Yeah, and it's that's why you always hear like the concept of like the door, like getting your foot in the door and stuff like that. It's just like what's on the other side of the door, the big fools, which are like the the people that dominate the industry, which are white people.
And I feel like the more it happens, or the more that Latinos see themselves in media, the more other people strive. And we've talked about this before, like trying to be that person who makes it in the media so that other people aren't afraid to join the media, or aren't afraid to go for creating content or creating TV shows and films. Yeah. But yes, I don't know if there's...
So like would you say like quote unquote good representation is like a matter of us being in control of setting the agenda?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think the reason why we didn't see ourselves was because there wasn't a lot of people in the decision-making room that looked like us, that had our experiences, that didn't think our stories were valuable of being told.
Yeah.
So as that becomes more and more relevant, we're able to start setting that agenda of being like, okay, well, this is what we want to see.
Yeah. And that's why I love the job, the cultural consultant, or like or like that's like a really important position to have, as being like a cultural consultant, because sometimes it's like not even like, it's mostly known for like like writing about like different races and stuff like that, and make sure that you're doing it with respect. But a lot of times it's like for different types of culture, like LGBTQ and stuff like that. And like, I know a lot of, or not a lot, I have one friend, one of my friends who's working on her UCLA thesis right now, has a story about, it's an LGBTQ story. And, she has been asking me for a lot of help, because the other department heads in her group are straight male. And so she's just kind of like, I have a straight male in this position, I have a straight male in this position, a straight male in this position. And she's like, but it's really important for me to capture like the authenticity of being LGBTQ. So like, we had like a 3-hour conversation about her script, and she wants me to look over the cinematography and stuff, and like make sure that we like capture the queer gaze, because it's like, that's not really something you can explain to somebody who hasn't like lived through it. So like, I was honored. I was like, you thought of me to help.
and that's so interesting, because like, there's stuff that has been historically always like, there's a kind of like a set formula of how you show anxiety, or you show this, or you show that. But like, trying to create the queer gaze from kind of like scratch, because there isn't like a blueprint of how to do that, like visually in the camera or with effects or whatever. Like, I think it's very interesting that you are like at the forefront of that. Yeah,
because it like, especially with cinematography too, being able to capture something like the queer gaze is like it's, you really have to understand like what it is, and a lot of the times it's just like living through it. Like, there's really no other way. Like, people could try and it'll probably still look amazing, but there's still just like a little bit of lack. Or like, when people who are queer are shooting these stories, like, it comes out like, oh, like just like the little moments of like gazing and like the way that people are viewed and stuff. It just like, you see it in the work. It becomes very prominent. I feel like, I mean, like with generation, but I feel like we should do a whole episode on generation. We should do a whole episode of generation.
Yeah, I remember when you pointed that out to me, and I was like, damn. Like, it just hit a lot harder. But yes, you're right. Let me write that down. And
we'll do a whole fucking episode.
Okay. But yeah, another thing is kind of, I guess it goes hand in hand with agenda setting, which is the issue of salience. There is an article by Holbrook, R.A., that was in 2005, where he studied the effects of the effects that TV has on people, specifically like watching crime dramas. So the people who watch crime dramas were more likely to believe that the world was very dangerous and that the world was a mean place.
Yeah.
That danger was like around the corner all the time because of all the stuff they were watching.
Yeah.
Compared to the people who didn't watch crime dramas and were watching something else, they were more likely to see the world as it is.
Yeah.
You know, especially, and this is also just like, in the news, we always see like, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. And a lot of bad things. So you think that the world is going to be a dangerous place because that's what's salient in your mind. Like, that's what's first in your mind when you think of crime. You're like, well, there's a lot because the way I see it on TV. Yeah. Which I guess what would be like a Latino version of that kind of example that you could think of maybe.
Can you define salience?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was like,
yeah, prominence. So I guess it's just like in the front of your brain, or like, you get me?
It's like that internalized idea of like a shortcut to understand what something is.
it's like what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of this?
This being like an ambiguous. Huh? Oh.
Yeah. So it's like when you think of, when you're thinking of, I think that the example here is like when you're thinking of politics, crime is going to be at the top of your mind because you're always seeing crime on TV and you think it's an actual issue. Mm-hmm. Or you think it's stronger than it actually is.
The agenda setting.
Yeah.
Period. Me when I make a connection. But anyway, to go back to your question, you said in like the context of like Latinos portrayed in media.
Yes.
I feel like maybe like language, I think, of like Latinos struggling to speak in English, or like, you know how, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but like if you're ever speaking English and somebody tells you, oh, you speak very good English, and you're like, well, I was born here. Like, why would I not?
I see.
That's what comes to mind for me.
That is interesting. I'm thinking in terms of like politics, when thinking of like political issues that affect Latinos, I think one of the things, because of the media that is like, whenever you think of Latino film and TV, a lot of it is immigration. Mm-hmm. So when people think of Latino issues in politics, of like stuff that we need to address in the Latino community, immigration is a big one, although it very much is. Mm-hmm. But I think it overshadows what happens after immigration. Yeah. You get me? Like what happens after you're here?
Yeah.
Whether it be to your children, to yourself, like those stories aren't explored.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah. And that makes sense too, because it's like that idea of like people who don't really know about the immigration experience, specifically like the different generations that do continue to live here after the immigration has happened. That's where you get those comments of like, oh, you speak good English, because it's just because they don't understand like
what happens after.
It's like, well, I speak good English. Like that's what happens. Yeah. Like, but yeah. So is this like only in the context of politics?
A lot of it is.
I see.
Which is politics, but like also kind of politics is like hard politics, but then there's also like the cultural aspect of politics, which we will get to right now.
Yeah.
With cultivation theory. So cultivation theory basically says that we learn about society from TV or films, especially those who are information poor. Mm. So it just means like people who aren't really tapped into the news or don't have time to actually explore the world themselves. Yeah. Explore their area, explore their city, explore whatever. They learn from watching TV, from films. They learn social norms. They learn gender roles. They learn all of this. And it comes from cultivation theory. And cultivation theory really happens over a long period of time. It isn't just like one show's going to affect the way that you see things, but constantly seeing it over and over is going to affect the way that you see things. It's a theory proposed by George Gerber. And one of the examples that I have is, and I wrote a little bit of an essay about it, is telenovelas, or just colorism in Mexican media, and how that can lead to like seeing that over and over again, seeing people who are white passing in these novelas and just like in media. Novelas, the people who find love are the people who are lighter skinned. The people who live happy endings are the people who are lighter skinned. Yeah. So that can create like feelings of like, well, I'm too dark to find love, or like to be attractive, or just like, I think this goes hand in hand with like, just like, the, what's it called? Beauty standards. Yeah. So yeah, you were nodding. What do you?
Well, I'm debating like if I should share the story, because it's like not really my story. So I don't know, like I could just like leave it out names, or I don't know.
Use a different name. Let's call her.
Okay, a story about a girl named Tiffany. I guess I'll just say, like I do remember somebody telling me a story where their mom was trying to set them up with a man who was from Mexico, and like there was many reasons why this girl like didn't want to pursue this man, but he was like a darker skinned Mexican man. And one of the the most prominent reason that he kept bringing up after being rejected was like, oh, es porque estoy prieto. Es porque estoy prieto. Or like, porque, or he used the word indio in the story, like that she was telling me. And she was like, and then I felt so bad because I was just like, no, like that's not the reason. But like I could see that he truly believes it's like, he thinks that because he's dark skinned that he's not going to find love. So like, that's what you were saying, what it reminded me of.
I have an example of this literally with novelas.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of the people in novelas, and my mom was an avid novella watcher, still is, were, they were white passing. And one of the like main guys, like one of the protagonists, one of the, good looking guys that wasn't white passing, his name was Fernando Colunga. He was in the novela El amor es el que manda. If you guys remember that. Porque el amor es el que manda. And it, like in middle school, like he gave me hope for darker skinned people. And like, I'm not even that, like, I'm not like super dark skinned, but I remember, as a kid, I think I was a little bit darker just because I spent a lot more time in the sun, like playing or whatever. And I remember like seeing my skin and being like kind of comparing it to his. I'm like, okay, at what point am I going to get a little bit darker? Like I can't afford to get that much darker because I won't be as attractive. So like I would look to him and be like, okay, well, we're kind of around the same. Okay. Like just try not to get like spend a little bit more time inside or like, I remember having those thoughts. Yeah. So when I heard about the cultivation theory and kind of like, I wanted to connect it to novelas or colorism in Mexican media. I was like, fuck, like I literally experienced that.
No, that part of like wanting to stay indoors because you don't want to get dark. Like I get very, very, I'm two completely different shades throughout the year. Like in the winter, I'm pale. And then in the summer, I'm very, very dark. And especially younger, I grew up playing a lot of outdoor sports, soccer, swimming, softball. And so like I would get very, very dark too. And like my sisters too. And my sisters were also lifeguards. And I just remember like when we would go to like a family event, like everybody would comment on how dark they were and be like, oh my God, you need to stay. Like it was always like, you need to stay out of the sun. And just like, and I remember one of my sisters being like, no, like I like my dark skin. Like I'm gonna like, I'm not going to stay out of the sun because like I love being in the sun. Like I can bathe in the sun all day. Wear sunscreen though, please. But yeah. And then I just remember hearing all the comments that they would get and I'd be like, I can't be in the sun. I can't get darker. Like, cause they would always say, or one of the comments was always, you look dirty. Like you look dirty when you're darker. And I was like, oh, or like they'll be like, oh, like parece que tiene mugre, like on you. And I was just like, I don't have mugre, I swear.
And it's just like, I know a lot of that stuff is also very cultural and kind of just like what people believe, but like it doesn't help that the media also, like I said, cultivation theory really says that like you learn a lot of this stuff through media, even if it's not like it's intent, but it still affects the way that you see and the way you think things should be. Yeah. There's a lot of studies about this where it comes to like gender roles and just believing all this stuff. It's fascinating. I love cultivation theory. So if you guys have time, look into cultivation theory. And I don't remember if it is cultivation theory, but I don't know. There's a lot of good studies about it. Some of them I think with recent stuff, like Parks and Rec and How I Met Your Mother and stuff like that. So very interesting. This is used to explain the way that fictional narratives specifically allow for you to change your mind, or the way that they can affect you and your outlook on certain things, which are whether it be your political beliefs or just topics like that, which is like being transported into that fictional narrative. Yeah. So something about the narrative pulls you into the story. When you are being entertained, you don't have your guards up. When you're watching something political, or when you're watching the news, you kind of have preconceived notions and you're all like, I am not gonna Like, I'm going to proceed with caution. Everything that is being said to me.
Like viewing nonfiction work versus fictitious work. Okay.
But when you're viewing fictitious work, that isn't really what you're thinking. So you're just like at ease. And there's certain storytelling devices that people use to put you in the shoes of these characters and pull you into these situations. And because you don't have these guards up, it's easier to change your mind about certain topics. And that goes hand in hand with like parasocial relationships. Like our brain sometimes has a hard time understanding what is real and what's on the screen. Like as dumb as that sounds, like that's why we cry at movies, or that's why because we have a parasocial, I know parasocial relationship now is like used a lot with internet people, but like it was even used before to describe relationships that you have with characters on TV in a movie. Like it's still parasocial because you're watching it on the screen. It's just one way.
Yeah.
And that explains like, filmmakers have figured out how to do that. They've been doing it for years on certain devices. And one of the examples is One Day at a Time, which I think does that exceptionally well.
I love One Day at a Time.
Not a spoiler warning, or maybe a spoiler warning. Definitely spoiler warning for One Day at a Time. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's great.
I think it's on Netflix.
Yes. And also a disclaimer that I haven't seen all of it. I've only seen episodes when me and Natalia have been watching it.
Big fan. Just kidding. No.
But that was enough to have me write a whole, or not a whole essay. It was a short essay. It was like 3 pages. But discussing this kind of fictional narratives and being transported into it. I remember we were watching it once and I said, this is adult Sesame Street.
I do remember. I was crying out whatever we were watching. He was like, this is adult Sesame Street. I was like, what?
It's just like the way it's teaching lessons.
Yeah.
Is like, and the stuff that they use is very, very, very good. So this also has to do with LGBTQ plus rights along with Latina issues. So if you guys don't know what One Day at a Time is, I guess let me give a quick rundown.
Yeah.
It's a Netflix series chronicling the journey of the Cuban-American Alvarez family. The show tackles a variety of issues present in the Latinx community, but it consistently targets LGBTQ plus issues that are exacerbated by historically homophobic Latina community. The show immerses you and transports you into the fictional narrative. It uses comedy and drama to lure us in and get our guards down. So, if we're laughing, we think, okay, well, we're not going to get hit out of left field with something really bad, or just like the drama, we're invested in it. So we're like, okay. And we're like being put into the character's shoes.
Yeah.
I think you'll be able to tell this storyline better.
Elena's storyline?
Yeah. I think I was talking about like with her dad.
Yeah. So going off of Alan's point is that one of the big themes that specifically season 1 tackles, but it does continue to tackle it throughout the rest of the seasons, is the oldest daughter. Her name is Elena. She is about to turn 15, and as many people know in the Latino community, when you turn 15, you have a quinceañera, which is traditionally like a very like feminine thing, and it's like supposed to symbolize you becoming a woman, and there's a lot of like history behind it, and
being ready for a man,
being ready for a man, being essentially paraded. Being paraded, and Elena's character is very against those ideals. Her character is kind of one that's very outspoken about going against traditions, and that's how we start off knowing her character. As we progress through the episodes, we start to realize that she's actually questioning her sexuality, and a lot of the reasons that she's behaving the way she is, why she's butting heads with both her mom and her grandma in regards to the quince, is because she's struggling with her queer identity, and like that gets a little not threatened, but like it starts to come out more when what a quinceañera stands for starts to kind of like enter her life. And so, this is like a major spoiler alert, so sorry guys. But the family is the parents are separated. The dad isn't really like physically present throughout the first part of the season, but then he comes back for Elena's quince, and the dad his character tackles issues of PTSD, alcoholism, like mental health and stuff like that. And so he comes back into the kids' lives, and you can tell already he doesn't have the best relationship with his daughter versus like his relationship with his son. Like he knows more how to like parent the son than to parent a daughter. But essentially I'm like giving all the lore. Essentially, throughout the season, Elena comes to terms with her sexuality, and you know, throughout a few episodes, she tells her mom, or first she tells her brother, and then she tells her mom, and then she tells her grandma, and like little by little, the family starts to realize that, okay, that what do we have to do to support our daughter, because we weren't ready for this, because we don't talk about this. So the dad comes in, and Elena tells him, and he right away tries to shut it down, tries to invalidate her because she's so young. She's 15. Tries to tell her that she doesn't know what she's talking about, and like it's a phase, and like just really, really invalidating her. And then he fights with the mom of like, why are you letting her believe that she's this? And there's just like a lot of back and forth conversations. And I think that's the part of the season that you mostly saw. Was the dad, was the interactions with the dad. And like, should I just like go into like what happens at the end like of the season?
I think what I mainly want to talk about is the dad not supporting her in this point in her life. And what I really wanted to talk about was that speech that she gives, I think, where she's like, what do you want to tell your dad? Like, he wasn't there, right? Like, yeah,
he did not end up showing up, or he came to the quince, but he left before the father-daughter dance and kind of just humiliated her and left her alone out on the stage, like in front of everybody.
And she gives this very beautiful monologue. Was after the quince, right?
I think that's how they started season 2, was because the dad basically ruined the relationship with the daughter, but the son still wanted to have a relationship with him. So, you know, they had to figure out that balance. So that's how they started season 2, was she confronts him about it.
Yeah.
Which I actually had to memorize that monologue for an acting class.
Oh, do you know it now?
No. But that's a fun fact.
She gives this monologue about how homophobia and like specifically in her family and just in the Latino community have affected her. But the way that monologue is delivered, I think that's why I said it was like Adult Sesame Street, because she kind of looks directly at the camera and like kind of like the lights go down, and it's just like, this moment's like for you, for the viewer.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant. It's like, I don't think she gives it to the dad, right?
She does. She knocks on the door, and like basically the speech is about like, it doesn't matter that you didn't show up because I have the most amazing support system already, and there are people that are putting in effort to learn about me. And like, are you talking about that monologue, or does she give another monologue?
I think she gives another monologue. Okay, well,
I don't think so.
Really? Well, my point doesn't stand then.
I know, because you were saying that, and I was just like, I don't think it does. I don't think she looks at the camera.
Well, okay.
We never break fourth wall.
We just came back. We did some more research, and I saw the scene again, and that like doesn't happen. But I think the point still stands where my walls were not up, and that's what it felt like.
Yeah,
like the story, the fictional narrative, and like just all that filmmaking. That's what it felt like. It felt like she was talking directly at me, at the viewers.
He felt it, dude.
I think it was also the way that it was written, that it felt like it was for the people watching it. Like, if you have kids, don't do these mistakes. This is what it's going to make your kid feel like. And that's what I said, that it was like Adult Sesame Street.
Yeah.
So that's what it felt like. But I guess I just created a whole version in my head that wasn't there.
No, and it's just like, that's why I'm so thankful for shows like this. And like, I know that we said that we were going to talk mostly about like how this affects like Latino people, but I think naturally this episode kind of also dabbled in LGBTQ representation. And like, I mean, the lore behind why I started watching One Day at a Time, it was actually recommended to me by a teacher in high school. And it was when I was writing my essays to get in, my PIQs, and like as every gay person does, I wrote about the traumas of being growing up gay in a Latino Catholic environment. And that was one of the teachers I trust. Yes, she was an English teacher. I know I fit the stereotype, guys.
The English teacher fits the stereotype, teacher, yeah. Actually.
And the gay kid that just latches onto them. But so, she was one of the teachers that I trusted. So I asked her to read my essay and give me feedback. And in that time of my life, I was so protective of this part of my identity because I was like, nobody can know. Nobody can know. Like, I was so ashamed of it. And she read it, and she we never talked about it. It was she was never so you didn't tell me you were gay. Nothing like that, which obviously I appreciate because I wasn't ready to talk about it. But she just told me, she gave me back my paper, and then she was just have you heard of One Day at a Time? And I was just I've never heard of that. And she was just it's on Netflix and I think you should watch it. And I was just okay. And then I went home and watched it, and I was my life was changed. I was just what? It was just such an important character. Elena was such an important character for me growing up queer, and especially her character was a lot younger than I was at the time. Her character is 15. I was 18. But it's just you don't see that type of representation, and I mean it's coming up now. I know our friend
and this is this perfectly leads into the point that you have here.
Yeah, of just quote, studies show that people identify more with and respond more favorably to films with the same race actors or same sexuality actors. But
I think that with Elena hit both of them.
It did. And
it was a Latino family.
Yeah, because I think there's queerness is so beautiful and so big, and it's just so many different ways to go about it. And I think there's a very specific, being queer and being Latino is a very specific perspective. And I think it's very unique, and there's very little pieces of media out there that kind of get it, I won't say get it right because everybody's experience is different, but get it hit the points that it needs to, that the queer Latino that they're watching it, they're just I know exactly what that feels like. I know exactly what that is. And
that goes back to cultivation theory and all that stuff, which is you were impacted by this show and this character. It was just one show.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that can do over the course of time where you see different things? And I think that cultivation theory thing goes back to if Latinos always see themselves portrayed in a certain way, that's all they're gonna think.
Yeah.
And not saying that we shouldn't tell those stories, because I think some of that stuff is important. I'm thinking about Mexicans always being shown as the guys being gardeners, the women being maids. Although that is, there are people who do that. Media has trained us to believe that that's kind of what we only do. And although I think it is important, and I think they are honorable professions, and they should also get their stories told, they should also tell other stories, because if not, that's what we're going to believe in ourselves.
Yeah. Just and I think just One Day at a Time was so groundbreaking too. Because even when it got canceled by Netflix, so many people were so upset that it got picked up by another network, and it continued on. I think the network was Pop TV, and it continued for I think 2 more seasons. And it's just because it was that groundbreaking, because so many people resonated with it, and it just goes to show that we always say it, but representation does matter.
Yeah,
and it's an incredible show.
All right, and with that, we are reaching the end of the episode.
Yeah.
It's running a little bit long, but that's okay. If you guys want to hear us talk more about it, because like I said, there's a lot that we can talk about.
Yeah.
There is a lot that we can talk about and explore different things. We didn't even get to talk about celebrities and or Latino celebrities and their characters and their role in this as well.
Yeah.
And filmmakers and their role in this as well. We kind of did, but kind of speaking more broadly. So there's still a lot more to talk about. So if you guys found this conversation very interesting and would like more of it, please let us know. Let us know, because why would we make another episode about this if you guys don't care? So,
you guys better tell us you care. Guys, you can't be honest.
But with that, every time we end our episode, we end with what, Natalia?
We end with a little Latino artist recommendation of the week because you should always support Latino artists.
Yes. My Latino artist of the week is a Chicano rap group called Chroma. This is where you edit the sound. They are a group that kind of does a lot of house music, rap, Latin indie, and all hip hop. Mm-hmm. So kind of like that whole genre of music. If you are into it, I think you should check them out. They are based out of Dallas, Texas. So they have no representation as well. Mm-hmm. I think they're really good. I think that there isn't a lot of Latino voices in this genre. Mm-hmm. So, they're trailblazing. They're being themselves. Yeah. And yeah, I think you should check them out.
They're really good. They come up on my For You page so often.
Yeah.
Every so often.
I saved it. I have a whole folder saved.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and check them out. And with that, we never did housekeeping either.
Oopsie.
If you are listening to this on a podcast platform, go ahead and give us a good rating and give us a good review. We would really appreciate it. If you are listening on YouTube, or watching on YouTube, should I say, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you guys, and leaving comments is a good way to do that. But again, if you're listening on a podcast app, or if you just don't want to comment on YouTube, follow us on our social medias at HandMeDownPod on Instagram and on TikTok. We post our best clips on there. So if you miss an episode, you won't miss the best parts. It's great conversations are being had over there on social media. A lot of it by the people that follow us, and a lot of people who are just discovering us, who have thoughts about what we're talking about. So go ahead and follow us on there to be a part of those conversations. And to get updates about the podcast and all that stuff. It's a good way. Instagram's a good way to keep track of that. And with that,
thank you, everybody, for joining us for yet another episode. And we cannot wait to see you. We're posting an episode a week after this.
Yes.
Okay. We cannot wait to see you next week. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good rest of your day, night, evening.
Bye.
Bye.
The Hand Me Down podcast is produced and hosted by Natalia Delgado and Alan Gallardo. This episode was edited by Alan Gallardo, and the social media clips are edited by Natalia Delgado. And I'm the associate producer, Milena Ortega. We'll see you next week.